Well, YouTube is officially actually going Hollywood. Google is getting ready to drop an estimated $150 million on 25 professional channels. And although they are under tight non-disclosure agreements, the list of potential partners are not your average YouTubers. Warner Brothers, Shine-Reveille, Berman-Braun, and Fremantle Media, to name a few. Now, Google hopes this investment will finally make them attractive to the big ad dollars and perhaps begin transitioning YouTube into a next-generation cable provider. Now, Ileana, what do you think of all of this? The if and when of digital distribution, I mean, at this point, is it here?
Well, I mean, I certainly would love to be one of those people that gets a little bit of that money. That would be great for an independent producer to keep doing content. But I'm one of the lucky people that because I got into the web early, I own all my own content, and so you know the danger, the thing that we just have to be careful of as content providers is retaining our ownership, and then if there's ad rev and all those kind of things.
It gets a bit complicated. I mean, YouTube is actually saying that they can own it, but they're saying we need to bring on our ad sales team. I mean, it can get a bit complicated as you're dealing with all these. These are new models. Yeah,
because the thing with the web is that there's, on the one hand, you want to keep the freedom because that's what is going to make things, very creative, and it's the ownership issue still hasn't really been tackled.
Yeah. Is there an aspect of it for you guys that reminds you a little bit of the big studio films, the studio films versus the independent films, and having that kind of balance? And to me, it's exciting. I mean, I just recently saw you in a great indie film.
Yes,
and,
thank you.
And here it seems like it may be a similar dynamic there?
It is a similar dynamic because, like, for instance, we shoot our show. I mean, we shot this film, The Green, in Connecticut. 17 days. Really low budget, and then it's out now. And we do the show the same way. Like we shoot it as a movie essentially, and then we break it up into episodes later.
Well, now with just quickly. Shows like you guys getting 2 million views or so. Do you think the views are there for the ad dollars to really make content like that happen in a consistent way online?
Being not on the production side, I think it's a tough one for me to kind of go to. But just looking at the trend, again, I'm just throwing all these puns out all over the place. So good
That's what you're here
for. But really looking at the trend and the direction things are going, I mean, for instance, Ultimate Proposal, 2 million, like you say, 2 million views with the first episode, 1 million almost in the first 24 hours of the second episode right now. And then a show like All My Children, which was on television, network television for 40 years, now going online, full production, new production, first view being online. This is like, there's a real momentum here.
Exciting.
A lot of momentum, and you just mentioned movie studios, kind of how that correlation back when movie studios were taking over things. A new movie by Joel Schumacher called Trespass. It's starring Nicolas Cage and Nicole Kidman. It was premiered on October 14th and it was released on YouTube on the exact same day. So now instead of going to movie theaters, people can watch it online for $6.99 in the comforts of their own home. So you're really seeing that convergence right now.
Well, hopefully the fear isn't there. Like I want them to embrace it because there's so much possibility.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like, for me, I know there's been some conversation about it taking away from, the independent guy at home making putting his own stuff out there on YouTube. But for me, it's probably encouraging him to now seeing that the big studios are also going there, and maybe that gives him a direct. I mean, I don't know.
Shira and I were just talking about this. There has been some concern by amateur video makers.
By the people who created the platform.
The algorithm was apparently changed on YouTube back in July. So now amateur videos are not as favored. So there's some concern in the amateur video community that basically cultivated YouTube.
Well, I'm interested just to quickly hear about the soap operas online, what you're hearing.
Yeah, well, what we're hearing right now is that this is going to be essentially the same show, less restrictions. Basically, more freedom.
More romance?
Less restrictions than your normal soap opera.
Really?
No, but really, there's basically no standards and less standards and practice and all those things.
What about the budget, though? Because you guys have supported so much. How do you maintain that?
So I again, don't really understand, but they're apparently going to be very close to the same budget of production. So it's the same length of time, very similar cast, as much of the cast as we can bring on. We're trying to get as much of the same cast as possible. And through incredibly creative ways, raising advertising dollars, and also maybe second runs. I'm hearing, by the way, I'm not the authority on this. I'm hearing maybe
You could
second runs
totally
on cable.
quote him.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I'm gonna lose my position on this show. But I think possibly second runs, like maybe a delayed showing on cable. So the first runs
Okay, yeah, that's a good
online,
idea.
raising some money, maybe that way.
That's a loyal fan
exciting.
base.
I think it's a really exciting topic. I was hosting. We were talking about this last night because all my children, if it becomes a hit now on the web because of the fans, that's to me is a lot of power, and it shows that the fans really support some of these shows.
Not to stay too long on this, but one of the things that I think is really interesting is you guys probably know, every television in production as of January 2011 is internet capable. So many people are already viewing their shows through the internet on their television, so it doesn't necessarily have to feel that different.
The lines are being blurred.
The lines are being blurred, and that's what this company, Prospect Park, who now has All My Children, is kind of banking. So
well,
I'm gonna stop
Google
talking.
is actually expected to make their final announcement by the end of the month. But a good example of a company that's successfully leveraging TV online is Daily Motion. They already have partnerships with Crackle, Hulu, Spike, and MTV. And just last week, inked a deal with the billion-view YouTubers Clever TV. And let us know your thoughts and questions, of course, in the chat room and by tweeting us throughout the show at What's Trending using #WTLive.